Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Dr. Homebrew. We have, I would say normally a bunch of homebrew today, but we don't, unfortunately. But that's okay because we have one very big beer to talk about. And our friend Colin is back in the studio. Colin, welcome back, my dude.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You're basically keeping the show afloat now.
Yeah.
Do what I can.
You. Yeah, it's the Colin show. And I think that's fine.
Yeah, the repeat offender with the most.
Yeah, I think we needed to change your name to Brian.
I think that's always a good idea. We can always have a council of Brian's.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. Who's this
Sure.
Brian? Who is this Brian you speak of? Or
Right.
two Brians?
Absolutely.
What happened to our nice introduction? Colin gets the only introduction. Like, and as usual, we're joined by, they don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, who cares anymore? But, it's Brian and Brian or whatever. But Colin's really here,
People are here for Colin, not for us. They can hear us 100 different episodes, but Colin, people
right.
want to hear what he's got to say.
Yeah, everyone's here for Colin. Man, I got to tell you, dude, this fucking weather, it's gnarly. This reminds me of the old Pacheco studio, the garage, sitting in the garage. Hadn't even started working and already got neck sweat. And you're just sticky and gross and uncomfortable. So now we have to be here for 2 hours doing this. Sucks, man. It was 109 degrees out here in beautiful Oakley, California today.
Yeah, we beat you in Concord. It was 112 like a little while ago.
That's gross, dude.
Yeah, somebody at the grocery
horrible.
store I was just at said, "Oh yeah, it was hot earlier, but it's cooled down now to 104." So it's
Yeah.
better.
Hey, well,
Like,
I mean, they're not wrong. It has cooled down.
Yeah, it was 113, but oh well.
Yeah, it was gross, dude.
Yeah, it's Monday. It was supposed to be done on Tuesday, and now it's not going to be done until like Saturday. So we have like a week, and it's going to be like 100 or over 100 for like a week. And I don't live in Tucson anymore. It shouldn't be like this.
It's nasty. And then like last night, my wife goes, would you mind, making dinner tomorrow? Yeah, sure. What do you want me to cook? Would you mind smoking this pork butt? Like, no. I just jump at any chance to use the barbecue or whatever. And I go, oh shit. Wait a minute.
What did I just sign myself up for?
So cool. She just wants me to spontaneously combust, just stepping outside like a vampire in the sunlight. Like, so that was fun. But luckily, I got one of those automated, John. So you just set the temp and you put the probes in, you walk away. And then I honestly forgot about it, not once, but twice. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Totally fine. What are you going to do, actually?
It's going to be super smoky.
Yeah, it was good, actually. And, full of pork, full of pulled pork. But,
nice.
Whatever. What else? You're right, Brian Shar. It is nice. And what else is nice? The people at 5 Star Chemicals. And not only are they nice, but they produce nice chemicals. Star San, PBW, Sandy Clean, all that other kind of stuff for you to be cleaning and sanitizing your home brewing equipment. But that's also not all. They also produce a lot of information. And if you want to be on that list of information, go to 5starchemicals.com/homebrew club program. That's homebrew-club-program. They have product links that everything that they have on the website. They have what is this? Uh-oh. Why is Brian Shar texting me?
Oh,
okay. That's all right. That's fine. Rolling blackouts. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd interrupt the show to talk about what might be potential technical difficulties on my end. But since you brought it up, I might be in the middle of a rolling blackout soon.
Well, look, to be honest with you, Brian, I screwed up, and then I decided to shift the blame on you because I'm a professional.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sign up for 5 Stars free homebrew club program at the aforementioned URL, and you can get free products, exclusive discounts, monthly educational seminars, and free swag from PBW, or not from PBW, from 5 Star Chemicals. So go to 5starchemicals.com, learn about all that kind of funky stuff they got going on over there. And if you ever see them out in any sort of industry event, I know NHC is over, but they like to, kind of go different places and hang out. Say hi. If you're so inclined, send them an email and thank them very much for sponsoring the show.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
our club signed up. I chatted with them at Homebrew Con. And yeah, we had been meaning to sign up. We signed up shortly after for that program, and it is pretty cool.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I got to do that, but I'm not in a club, I guess. So I don't know if I can. I guess I can.
You can join our club.
I don't do anything. I don't brew. I don't brew anymore. I need to, but not this week. I'll tell you that much. All right.
Trying to stand around anything boiling this week. Yeah, no, you'll die. You'll literally die. Absolutely.
I mean, I could do it indoors because I got that electric, Brewzilla from More Beer.
Yeah.
So I definitely could, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't have the bug like I used to anymore, so I don't really care. But like when you're first starting out, or at least like when you're sort of in the thick of home brewing, you're like, oh, man, I got that itch. I got to scratch it. I got to do something. I don't care how much I have to suffer or how much it puts me out or anything like that. But now it's like, no, man, I just, I'm not going to do it. I just won't play Destiny.
Caring makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
The phases of a homebrewer's journey, I guess, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
The awakening, the great awakening. The realizations you can brew your own beer. There's a lot
Colin,
there.
what's up, dude?
Hey.
What beer did you send for us?
You guys have a Bock.
A Bock. Have you made a Bock before?
This is my first one.
All right. First one.
Excellent. Did you hang a goat from your brew sculpture or your brewing equipment while you did that?
I mean, I sacrificed the goat before I brewed it. So
That's maybe too much information.
I made some shawarma. It was great. It was delicious. The goat really helped me feed. Anyway, first attempt at a Bock. Is that a style you like? Are you brewing the styles, or are you just brewing the stuff? Okay, so you're brewing all the styles no matter what.
Yeah. So I recently upgraded to a Herm system, so I can do step mashing and that kind of stuff. So I've been really hitting the traditional lager styles, and this seemed like a next step.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Do you like Bocks?
I haven't had that many, to be honest. So I really brewed this kind of more, again, just to kind of do some technique stuff.
Right. Because, I wanted to theoretically brew the styles, right? Like run the whole circuit of styles. But I don't like a lot of them. And I just don't care enough to be like, oh, I'll brew a thing. Because especially when I was really brewing, I was doing 10 gallons at a time. Like, what am I going to do? 10 gallons of, I don't know, fucking triple IPA or whatever it is. And no, I'm never going to do that. So I just didn't do it. So I salute you. You seem ambiguous about the Bock, but you did it anyways.
It's ambitious to brew.
There we go.
He's very ambitious to brew a Bock too. That's not an easy style to do.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. All right, Brian. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Shar, why don't you start us off here with this Bock?
All right. Well, Colin, I have to ask you the question that I've asked you probably like 7 times before. So are you in a homebrew club? And if so, what's it called?
I'm currently not. Unfortunately, the COVID did not fare well for our club. So,
well, that's right. COVID eliminated your club. Yep. Look at that. One less club in contention for Club of the Year, everybody.
Yeah, sorry to bring up that bad memory.
Yeah.
I still hang out with the guys I hung out with.
That's pretty cool. You could always start again, start fresh, new name, new everything. You could do that.
That involves work, so.
That's an excellent point. And I get more work averse the older I get. What can I say? So I like this beer a lot. This is a Category 6C Dunkel's Bock. When I was younger, I didn't like Bock a whole lot. As I've gotten older, and maybe it's a reaction to just so many IPAs. I love IPA, but I love getting a great German style, a good malty German beer. And it's, thank you for sending that. Bottle inspection. It's a bottle, appropriate size, fill. It had a hiss when I opened it. That was all good. Aroma, richly malty. There were some caramel notes, sort of bread crust in there. No hop aroma, which is expected for the style. This shouldn't be this has hops to balance, but it doesn't have hops jumping out of the glass into your nose. So hop aroma wasn't there. That's fine. Didn't get diacetyl or acetaldehyde or any off aromas. Very inviting. Gave it a 10 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, 3 out of 3. It's medium copper in color. here with the camera and the lighting, it comes off kind of weirdly reddish orange. But that's, and I think if you see this in real life, it's more of a copper color. Medium-sized head is very persistent and tan, crystal clear. Again, 3 out of 3 for appearance. Flavor, initially the flavor is malty with that toasty bread crust flavor that you get in the aroma. So the flavor delivers on the promise of the aroma that you're going to have that toasty kind of bread crust richness. Hop bitterness rises up in the mid palate to balance at kind of a medium to medium low level. There's no hop flavor. Again, this style doesn't call for hop flavor, so it probably doesn't need to be there, probably shouldn't be there. It's not there. It's well attenuated. I wrote no off flavors, but I kind of came back to this, and I'm struggling with whether I'm getting just a hint of diacetyl in the flavor. And that's maybe more of a slickness than a flavor, but this is warmed up for about an hour since I judged it. And you think the diacetyl will be more prominent. I'm questioning whether it's actually there or not. There might be just the tiniest hint of diacetyl. We'll see what Cooper thinks later. It's that slight slickness, flavor 15 out of 20 overall. Thought it was real nice, real tasty beer. Mouthfeel, medium body, medium low carbonation. It's smooth and it's on the creamy side of that creamy to astringent spectrum. No warming, 5 out of 5. Overall impression, I gave it an 8 for a total of 41, which is excellent. This is a fantastic beer, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to finish this bottle, which is pretty much what's left in here. I think I might have some in the kitchen. I may have to go pour myself some more when Cooper's judging that. I might be imagining the diacetyl, and I even made a note about that. If I'm not, don't forget a diacetyl rest. It's a good practice to raise the temperature to 68, 70 degrees Fahrenheit at the end of fermentation, just for a day or two to let that higher temperature facilitate the chemical reactions that get rid of diacetyl. But otherwise, this is really good. Again, 41. I like it enough. I'm going to drink the whole bottle. So thank you very much for sharing.
All right, very good.
Also, it's the only bottle we have for this show, so you might as well drink the whole bottle.
Well, exactly.
What are you
don't
going to
want to waste it.
No.
That'd be a shame. It'd be rude.
Well, especially, Colin can hear you. But when he can't hear you, then, do whatever you want.
Here's the dumping sound in the background.
Oh, this is good. I'm slamming it.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, Cooper.
Okay. So yeah, I just rushed back from the Labor Day holiday weekend, and so I started a fermentation on Friday, like right before leaving. I pitched the yeast. And
oh God, why would you do that?
Well, I had brewed it the night before, and I let it cool naturally instead of cooling it fast. I just put it in my fermentation fridge, and then I worked a half day, and I came back, and it was just about ready to like put in some cool water to cool it down a little bit more. Pitched it, threw it in my fermentation locker, and it's I assume it's fermenting. I haven't even had time to check that, but so I went out, and that's also where I keep the beers for Dr. Homebrew, and I forgot to put Colin's beer in a cold place while I was gone. So sitting there at 68 degrees in that, I come in, I'm like, oh God. So I had the cooler that I brought in from my trip, and I dumped it in there in between some ice packs, got it down to maybe 55 degrees and judged it. But that was actually, I don't think it hurt it at all. So I started the opposite of Brian. I judged it warm, and then I put it in the fridge for a little while as we were waiting for the show to start. So now it's colder. Now I'm getting to taste it a little cooler. So just keep that in mind, I guess. Yeah, so the beer, it had a nice fill, proper capping, good, bottle inspection passed, yay. Aroma wise, pleasant, rich bread crust like malt aroma at a medium high level. No obvious hop in the nose, light malty stone fruit like fruitiness, but definitely lager like an impression overall, with a clean ferment apparent. No DMS or diacetyl. I didn't get any in the nose. The appearance is just beautiful. It's a rich, deep copper color, with a medium creamy light tan head that just persists forever. It just stays and stays and stays. And yeah, just beautifully, brilliantly clear beer. Has these burnished orangish red highlights to it. Yeah, there's no way you could not give this 3 points for appearance because it's just perfect. In the flavor, again, a lot of the same notes as in the aroma, pleasant and richly malty, bread-like, lightly toasty. It's full of I meant to mention in the nose, these Maillard products that come about from the color reactions with the malts. It really complements the bread crust aspects well. Clean lager fermentation with low bitterness to style. The balances to the malt, of course. There's only a faint flavor of hop. As it's pretty warm, I get a tiny touch of like a little floral herbal hop in there, but it was really light. It has a kind of semi-dry, semi-sweet impression in the finish. There's definitely some sweetness there from the malt and some fruitiness there from malt that kind of play off each other. And I think maybe that was what Brian was getting, is those dark stone fruit like things and kind of a malty sweetness that give maybe kind of a light butterscotch like impression, but it wasn't buttery or diacetyl like to me, just very clean and seemed well conditioned to me.
Yeah, after mine warmed up, I think I have to agree with you that I had talked myself into diacetyl when it was cooler. It was going to come out more when it warmed up. If it's not there when it's warmer, it's not there.
Yeah. So yeah, in the aftertaste, you get this rich dark bread like maltiness, just lingering, along with that little bit of sweetness. It's plays very well. The beer, should be fairly well attenuated, and sometimes the sweetness comes a little bit from the alcohol. I'm not tasting a whole lot of alcohol here. And Dunkles Bock has a bit of a range that you can go between there, but it can be in the 6.3 to 7.2% ABV range. It's not like a double Bock, so this is the 6C Dunkles Bock. If you want to look up the the BJCP style. I work for the BJCP. Like, okay. AHA on the brain.
Way to go, dickhead.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose my my office. Mouthfeel wise, it's medium body, bordering on medium full, but just not super big. It's nice. Medium low carbonation that works to style. Very slight alcohol warmth, but it's welcomely smooth. Not getting any astringency or anything really creamy, like a cream. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't taste like. It doesn't have a super creamy mouthfeel. It's just very smooth. So yeah, goes out easy, not harsh or burning or astringent at all. It's just right. Yeah, overall, it's just a wonderfully well-brewed traditional Bock. It hits all the marks for the style. Really nicely lagered. I enjoyed, the attention to detail on this beer. And it's not just because we know Colin pays attention to all his shit. He really did here too with his first traditional Bock.
Yeah, because I think I remember some beers he didn't. So let's not rewrite history for Colin.
Yeah,
I mean, he sent us a lot of beers, but I mean,
he sent us 63 beers. I can't even remember all of them.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I can't store them all. They're all in my garage.
I mean, we should just make a whole segment about Colin.
That's right.
We should just move into Colin's house and just drink his beers as he brews them. That would just cut out a lot of the shipping and a lot of the hassle. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, we can call him Daddy. It'd be great.
I might draw the line there.
Yeah. So yeah, the slight, I would say the slight sweetness in the finish it's not too extreme for the style. It's a little leaning that way. You could attenuate this out just a touch more, and it would dry off. You'd get a little more of that toasty edge in the mouthfeel. And I don't think it would be harsh here either. It's really nice as it is, playing off the sweetness. But you could do that a little bit. I just subtly attenuate a touch more. But as it is, I gave it a 41 as well, and I really liked the beer. Would love to talk about the recipe and hear how you did it. And thank you for sharing it, Colin.
Colin, before we get to you, what's the ABV on this?
6%.
6%. Okay, so I can drink a lot of it.
It did feel like a big boy, yeah.
Cooper, remind me, what score did you give it?
41.
41. And Char, remind me again, please.
41.
41.
We didn't even talk. Cooper texted me right before the show. Hey, what did you score this? 41. They gave it a 41 too. So we were just totally in sync.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, honestly, it's pretty good. I mean, Shar, I think you were saying about like the stone fruits. There is sort of that cherry, that like dark cherry, flavor, which, I don't know, maybe there's like a skosh too much of that if you had to pick a nit or two. But I mean, I think this is great. If you walk in any bar and you order a Bock and you get this, I think you're pleased. Yeah, this is it's really good,
agree.
man. I was a little nervous because these are really easy to just get syrupy, and like under attenuated, and you just sort of like throw all the grain in there, and you just really I want the biggest Bock. And I don't think that these beers are meant to be brewed like that, especially the first time. And I don't think that those taste good.
You can still impress a judge without making it the biggest beer in the flight with the most alcohol. Like, oh
Right.
wow, this is actually just nice, and it's approachable and easy to drink. It's not harshly hot or biting or sharp in any way. It's just really smooth. Tastes like a very well brewed German beer with some good German ingredients.
Yeah, it's a little alcohol, but a little warm. I would go 41, 41. Yeah, for sure. But the other thing is, I don't know why I wouldn't go higher. I'm not familiar with the style. I don't, like you, Colin, I don't have a lot of these. But I enjoy it a lot. I think this is great, and I would not hesitate to get another one. So now that I've chimed in and basically added nothing to the conversation, Colin, let's go over your recipe.
Okay, so this is actually a smash beer. So it is 100% avant-garde dark Munich. So that Munich's actually 15L. So in of itself, it's pretty high on the scale.
So again, heard of Avant-Garde. Is that a German company or a German malt? Okay.
Yep, they're a German maltster. Yep. So
how do you hear about these new malts? Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, Colin. How do you hear about these new malt? I've never heard of this malt before. Not like I'm really tuned in, but
I was basically looking for the darkest Munich from Germany that I could find, and that's it.
Okay.
So,
all right, like from your local homebrew shop or like online, you were just Googling darkest Munich malt I could find. Wow.
Yep.
Man, fucking shit is so much different than when I was first started. Like you were beholden to your homebrew shop.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, I just Google anything I want.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which the two shops an hour-ish away from us have it as well.
Okay.
So
we'll see. There
you
you
get
go.
it somewhat locally.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Like the transition of homebrewing or the expansion of homebrewing, sort of allowing more shops to carry a variety of different stuff. Because usually the thing was, like at More Beer, when we were talking about getting new grain in or whatever, it's like, well, no one's going to buy this. Who's going to buy this? We have too many grains. We have to get rid of some because they're sitting around too long. But it's nice that there's so many different beers and so many different grains coming out to the market for homebrewers that people are willing to, to try that. So anyway,
too, and just
cool.
a point real quick. I mean, ingredients wise, these recipes can use Vienna and Munich malts. A lot of the time that can be all that's in there. And, somewhat of a cheat almost to, if you use a lot of Vienna malt, you want to darken it up, or you don't have a dark Munich malt, you're just using a lighter Munich malt, they'll add some darker, maybe dehusked dark malts to add color. But as Colin proves here, and as the traditional brewers do, you don't need to do that. A lot of the color can also come from like the decoctions that they do. So you get a little richness of color from that. And we'll get into process later, but let's hear about the rest of the ingredients.
Okay. And then it was 1.7 ounces at 3.9 alpha acids of tetanang for 19 IBUs. And then it was Yeast 2308. I do big starters on these. It was like 2.14 million cells per Plato. And then I pitched at 50 and then let it sit until right toward the end and mucked it up to about 55 and let it finish. So it fermented in about 10 days or so.
It's pretty good, right?
And then
I think that's real good.
it was actually really aggressive. So normally lagers are pretty slow. This one actually blew out, like had to put a blow off tube on it because it was going crazy.
Wow.
Really? And what was your
Even at
fermentation
50 degrees.
temperature again?
He said
50.
Yeah, 50,
Wow.
and then raise it up to 55 once it settled down a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So, yep.
Yeah, a blow off for a lager. don't know that I've heard too many of those stories.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was not expecting that. So again, I think it's high pitch rates, and the thermal shock for the yeast. So keeping it within 10 degrees of when you pitch temperature, what the actual yeast is, all those things seem to help pretty significantly. Good bit of oxygen before you pitch the yeast, all that stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, normally we spend a little more time on the recipe, but it's just one grain. So what are you going to do?
And it was 14 pounds of that grain. OG was 64. Final gravity was 19. So 70% attenuation is a little bit low, but I did some research, asked some buddies and that kind of stuff. Based off that high level bond of Munich malt, that's not surprising that the attenuation was that low from what I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah, if it actually landed just, the style starts at 6.3. I think you said it was 6.0. If it had gone just a little further, you'd hit that the low end, the 6.3. Or probably maybe aiming more for the middle end and thinking it would attenuate a little bit more. But the next time you do it, you can do it a little bit differently if you want, based on that experience, and that's part of the fun. Now, you mentioned having the Herms system, and you have this ultimate control. What did you use your controls to do?
Yep. So mashed in, did 145 for 30 minutes, and then bumped to 160 for 30 minutes, then pulled a third of it and did a 15-minute decoction. So put in a separate vessel, boiled a third of the mash with more grain than liquid for 15 minutes, put it back in about 170. So then just circulated till I got clear wort, sparged, and off to the races.
Very cool.
So this first decoction I had ever done as well.
Aren't they fun?
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I really was expecting it to be messy and disgusting and awful, and it really wasn't as bad.
It's
You
just
wear
time
gloves?
consuming. I think it's
gloves.
just
Sorry.
Yeah, did that. And I have a
think it's
giant 3-foot spoon now too. So
there you go. Yeah, it's the time that I think is really what people sort of grimace at. This is time suck. Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you guys think? Do we have any other comments or any sort of input to give to Colin?
And how long did you lager it for after the?
yeah, so I brewed this on March 27th, and then so it fermented in about 2 weeks and went immediately into the keg. So I carbonate and lager in the keg. So just throw it in the back of the fridge and forget about it for a couple months.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Lagering with the carbonation in it can work very well too. I think traditionally the carbonation should be added right at packaging in the breweries, but on a homebrew scale, you can do whatever you want. Throw it in the back. It's ready when it's ready. Taste it after a few months, and there you go.
Isn't that a method though? Capping on the final part of the seed, do the spunding or what is it? Yeah,
spunding.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know stuff. I haven't lost it completely.
You know stuff and things.
Yeah. Colin, what about you? Do you have any questions for the Bryans?
So I agree it's a good beer, and I agree I would have liked it to attenuate a little bit more, but I don't know what to do to make it better. I think it's missing something, but I don't know what. Yes. I got that vibe. That's sort of what I was getting across. I was like, it's a 40-41, but I don't know why. For me, it's one of those beers where it's like, I don't know. Is it too dry? Do we think?
No. I asked myself that same question, Jason.
Yeah.
And I think hearing that it's a smash beer, I'm wondering if that's maybe something that was in the back of my head, maybe a lack of complexity. Maybe, although it seemed fairly complex, is there a lack of complexity happening there that maybe a little more, not to go crazy and add 15 malts to your malt bill, but maybe having 2 or 3 malts might let you take advantage of some of the different flavors and add a little complexity to it.
I would disagree with that. It is generally a fairly simple recipe. If you go to the major breweries that make it, it's a Munich showcase, and sometimes a little Vienna, sometimes a little bit of a dark roasted malt or de-bittered, dehusked malt for the color, but you would never add any adjuncts or anything else to it. It's just an all malt, clean European malts and hops. Traditionally just a little bit of some noble hop like you use there. getting up that bitterness 19, that's even a little on the low end. It can be 20 to 27 in the guidelines, but for this beer, if you went a little heavier with it and got it a little higher, you could have a little more, get away with a little more bitterness. You could also get away with a little more strength, and that would make it, maybe give it a little more complex feeling with the alcohol coming into play, but also just drying it out. I think that sweetness is going to get out of the way a little bit and let those toastier malts shine through in the aftertaste and the late palate. That's what I think.
What do you think, Colin? I think he's full of shit.
I've thought about layering some Munichs. So do 80% of that super dark one and maybe 20% of a lighter Munich, different maltsters, maybe get some complexity, which is different Munich malts.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Sneak a little bit of Vienna in there too, if you want. I mean, that's going to, find the darkest Vienna you can get too.
There you go.
Why not? Google that shit.
But yeah, I mean, just starting with the German malted stuff. And I don't know that maltster either, but starting with this, it's maybe a boutique German maltster. So it's pushing out a lot of good stuff now. I don't know, but yeah, based on the product and the results, it seems like really good malt. There's nothing else much
good
here besides malt. So yeah. But yeah, taste different malts and maybe blend 2 different dark Munichs and see, blend some of the environment in with this one and see how it tastes the next time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think, Colin, you're right on. Like, just try a couple different things in there, see what happens. Why not? What are you gonna do? Screw it up?
Again, for a first stab, I was pretty happy with it.
Oh, I would be well chuffed with that. That's a very good first job. Like, yeah, good stuff.
Well chuffed.
Yeah.
How about the water in this one?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's kind of moderate sulfate stuff.
Actually didn't use water.
Yeah,
it's all urine. It's recycled urine. So fuck you guys.
He's being water conscious, JP.
Yeah.
My base water is extremely soft, so I basically built from scratch. But sodium was 32, sulfate was 16, chloride 43, mash pH was 5.2.
Oh,
I wonder if a little sulfate.
The sulfates seem pretty low. You could bump those up a fair amount to match the more German.
What does that do again? What does sulfates do for this? What would a higher sulfate rate do for his beer?
Well, with hoppy beers, they accent the hops in the beer a little bit, yeah, it gives it that kind of in the finish sometimes too, that the toastiness or the bitterness can come out a little bit more. It's got a little bolder impression to it. Like think about the difference between a German Pils and a traditional Czech Pils. The Czech Pils is softer and they actually get away with a fair amount more bitterness, or they can, they're relatively close, but that super soft water, you can get away with a lot of bitterness. And the Germans, they use a higher sulfate water with pretty much the same malt and similar hops, just their noble hops instead. But it plays, a little more aggressive, a little more rich in the back of the throat, the late palate, things come through a little more. And so that, sulfates are important to pay attention to. That did seem a touch low.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that. I wanted to give the guys a chance to say something. Yeah.
Because we never say anything. Yeah.
No, that's true.
We're very shy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's take a break. We're going to come back and we'll chat more here with Colin on Dr. Homebrew. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We're back here with Colin. And Colin, I wanted to keep you around a little bit. Normally we kick you out. But you said that you were brewing the styles, just running the whole styles. And I was interested in that. What made you do that? Like, why are you trying to brew all the styles? I always thought, Jamil always said, like, if you want to be good at home brewing, you got to brew all the styles. You got to do it. But in my mind, I go, well, there are differences about brewing different styles that don't necessarily translate. Brewing a Bock isn't necessarily the same as brewing a pale ale. So how are you gonna improve your Bock by brewing a pale ale? I don't get that. So what motivated you to start tackling all this?
So it's kind of how my brain works. So brewing to me is mastering the ability to brew. So when you brew a style, you kind of how to utilize one technique or how to utilize one hop or ingredient or something like that. And you kind of get that. And when you go to another style, you can kind of take what you learned from that and utilize it. So, I mean, agree, they're not like a pale ale and a Bock are completely different, but if you know, step mash, if I know, okay, I can dry the beer out more, or I can dry it out less, or that kind of thing, I think it all adds up to being able to know how to brew better.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. The technique and the know-how about how to problem solve, maybe after the fact for next time, something like that. Okay.
And again, I'm a engineer. I'm a metallurgist by education, and so it's what I do every day. So it's process. How can I control the process? How can I understand the input variables to get the output that I want? At the core concept, that's why homebrewing is attractive to me, and that's why I want to brew the styles that I can brew, to learn how to do that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people like that, like you people. There's so many like engineers and scientists and nerds like that who are drawn to homebrewing, and I guess that's why that's why you do what you do, because you're good at it as a profession. I'm assuming you haven't been fired, so what do I know? But I think homebrewing is sort of very much like that. It is process oriented, and the output, you can just change a variable and get a different output. That's interesting. What were you gonna say, Shar?
So you're a metallurgist. So did you build your own Herm system?
I did.
You probably had the ability to do all the welding and stuff. Like ordinary people like me would not have any clue.
Well, none of it was all weldless. Drilling holes in the kegs and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So actually, I'm
That's cool.
the least mechanically minded person that I know. So I was actually very happy with myself that I figured out how to do it. So
very cool.
Chemistry is how my electrons and all that stuff. So my mind works, not hammers and drills and piping. It's not my jam.
Yeah. Your garage door behind you moves, right? It goes up. You push a button and it moves up.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll be right.
Okay, good to know.
So through your whole process, what do you think are a couple pieces of information that you learned that are the most important things that you learned to improve your process going through this? Because I don't know many people are willing to do that, to brew the whole style, to like run the rainbow of flavors.
Yeast care. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Understanding your pitch rates, and taking it one bite at a time. So again, that's a little more philosophical, but if you go in trying to control every single variable from your first batch, you're going to get so overwhelmed and so pissed off. It's just not going to be fun anymore. So taking it one bite at a time. So we were kind of.
Wow, we're losing you.
Yeah.
Talking on the break, just so like with lager brewing. Is it any better now?
It's catching up here. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I think.
Am I back now?
There we go. Yeah, you're back.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's not your fault, man.
Going back to what we were talking at the break, just taking it one piece at a time. So if you try and control every single variable, you're just going to get frustrated and pissed off and not have fun. So with lager brewing, the first thing I tried to get an understanding of was fermentation. So you read the different calculators, how many pitch rates, that kind of stuff. And I found you just cannot overpitch yeast in a lager. So the more yeast you put in there, the better it tastes. So again, putting over 2 million cells per milliliter in there has just made the lagers just jump and be so much better. And pitching cold. So starting cold and then get progressively warmer. Yeah.
It jumped right out of the fermenter, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you needed to blow off. That's rad. That is super rad.
When we were still learning about yeast and homebrewing or whatever, the 80s, 90s or whatever, it was very much like, you got to add way more than you think, but don't over pitch because you can, really fuck your shit up. But I think it took a while, 5-10 years, for people to be like, no, you can't. It's very hard to over pitch your beer on a homebrew level for anything, even for ales. And it's very, very hard. You have to really try hard to over pitch your beer, or over pitch your yeast rather. Which sort of makes sense. You add just more yeast than you think for lagers. It's even harder for a lager.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember Dr. Scott on the session like 15 years ago talking about making like a 3-gallon starter for his lagers. And when I started making lagers a while back, I kind of I took a little bit of advice from that, and I would brew like lighter lagers and just keep the yeast and then just run more wort on top of it for like a stronger lager. I probably should have been cleaning my yeast and all that, but back in the day, it was like essentially your 5-gallon batch was a starter for your next 5-gallon batch of a stronger lager.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I still do that. So this batch was number 2 on a yeast generation. So it was a Munich Dunkel, then a Doppelbock. I'm sorry, then a Bock, then a Doppelbock on the same
Nice.
yeast.
Did you do anything else after that? I would imagine sort of
No.
done by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Doppelbock's pretty strong. And that's
The
hard,
Doppelbock
high
was the
enough
last one. I
alcohol.
dumped it after that.
Yeah. Cooper, what about you? You got any questions for Colin?
Yeah, I think I was going to ask him the same overpitching thing, and it is really hard to overpitch. I mean, if you go, triple the amount of yeast you need or something like that, you could possibly get some autolysis, or you could get some problems come up. The yeast is just too crazed and happy, and But yeah, for the most part in commercial breweries, it does. Underpitching is a much bigger problem. So, well, I just wondered where Colin got the bug from, because he obviously has the bug pretty well to get in this thing. It's like similarly to how Jamil did, just wanted to brew every style. What makes somebody want to do that? You already asked him that, but what was the initial thing that got him into, hey, I want to brew my own beer? Where did that come from?
So my brother originally, so he's 3 or 4 years older than me. So he started home brewing. I kind of did it with him a few times and seemed very cool, and bought a kit off Midwest Supply when I moved to South Carolina for my job, and
There you go.
just kind of took off from there.
Cool. Yeah, it's and then how long did it take you? Did you start right off with all grain, or did you go from you learn from your brother all grain, or did you start with extract, or how did it go?
So I did one batch of extract. I'm like, okay, time to upgrade to all grain. So I liked it enough.
For me, it took like 6 months to do that. That's quick.
God, yeah, it took me forever too. But partial mash, I did 3, and I was like, well, why am I doing this? I'm just gonna go all grain.
Once you kind of get the courage to step up and do the partial mash, and you realize this is not that difficult. It's probably but it's probably more pain in the ass to do a partial mash than to do a full mash.
So you kind of talked about what was one of the biggest improvements to your brewing has been learning how to pitch the appropriate amount of yeast. What about equipment wise? Like for me, it was when I finally got temperature control, and I'd been brewing these ales and trying to do the t-shirt method with the fan blowing on it and a little basin of water, and it helped a little bit, but I finally got a proper fermentation space, and that to me was my biggest difference that it made, especially here in California. Other places may not have to worry about that as much, but just equipment wise, what was the biggest one for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I use a little mini chest freezer with those Inkbird controller, so I still use that for fermentation control. And then, I mean, my mash is still up until fairly recently was still just igloo cooler and all that. So upgrading to the Herms, I think, has made my maltier beers significantly improved. And I was all batch barge, but prior to that, so being able to do that, my efficiencies have shot up dramatically. So getting a malt mill, that's a relatively inexpensive one, and you can control your crush a lot better to help with efficiencies. Homebrew shops tend to crush pretty big, just so people don't complain about stuck sparges, in my experience. But again, I think it's kind of starting as you could go. If one critical thing would be fermentation control, temperature wise, I think that's the first major upgrade to just buckets that you can do to help. So I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, a mill is a really nice to have, and that's one upgrade that I added later on when I was hand cranking for a while, but then I got a
whoa, Brian,
drill.
whoa,
It's easier.
Whoa. Let's not talk about your fetishes and what you do in the privacy of your own home, please.
I thought of it as good exercise. Yeah, so.
Well, it is, but only on one side.
No, I would switch arms as I'd crank with one arm for a while.
Whoa,
and then
Brian, come on, gross, dude. Jeez. Why don't you relax?
I swear, yeah. So what about competitions, Colin? Do you enter a lot of those, or are you
I do
competitive? Yeah. Besides just us.
No, I send them all around. I mean, it just usually if it's, well, I brew this beer, I think it's good. Maybe it sucks. So I'll send it to a competition, and sometimes the feedback's okay. I get that. And sometimes it's just completely out of left field. Doesn't make any sense. So you take them and you kind of go from there. But I usually here lately use it just more to confirm whether something I think is good, or if kind of, cause if it's bad, it's bad, that kind of thing. Improvement wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the medal or award you're most proud of? You got some best of shows under your belt, or what's your favorite?
Yeah.
Medal on your
The
wall?
best of show for Czech Dark Lager. I'm one most proud of.
There you go.
That's
Pretty
really
Not too
impressive.
bad. Not too
Pretty
bad. Hang on just a sec. We got to take another quick break, and I'm going to wrap things up here with Colin on Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. We're just going to come right back. All right. Thanks for hanging on, everybody. We're back here wrapping it up with Colin. Colin is probably one of our most prolific enterers, if not the most. Right, Cooper? I mean, I think he's probably sent in the most beers.
I think by this point he's sent in the
Yeah.
most, and
Yeah.
he's also a good sport being out on the East Coast, and we're calling him at 10 something at night, 11 at night, and he's
That's right.
hanging in there, right? Yeah.
So he's
It's like-
forced in to be in his garage.
it's closer to midnight there than it is yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Colin. Are you getting anything out of the show? Do we help you?
Oh,
out?
absolutely. No, definitely.
All right.
Oh,
I
you've
sort
definitely
of
made.
feel like you send us like 5 beers at a time, and then you're like, "Fuck, now I gotta be on this stupid show 5 times. I don't want to. I don't get anything out of it, but now I have to, so I might as well." Not like that.
Just being able to talk, like you go to competition, you just get a score sheet back, and there's nothing. I mean, like what in the world was that guy thinking? So to be able to actually have some rapport back and forth to kind of talk about it, that kind of thing I think is very helpful.
All right,
And the
good.
mindset of a judge too.
There you go. So to speak. All right. Well, is that it? We're done with Colin, right?
Yeah. Any words of wisdom for the homebrewing masses out there, Colin?
Oh, think it
Competitions are your friend. Podcasts are your friend. I've learned so much from listening to podcasts and competitions.
Yeah, you twist some people's arms to send us their beer. If you know some good homebrewers in your area, we'll take theirs
Okay.
too, even if they're not good.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
How do we, to the people listening, Cooper, how do they get in contact with us to get said beers to said hosts?
Well, they would email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com and let us know what you've got. And we would take beer, mead, cider, what have you, and happy to take it, whether it's something you want feedback on or something that you just want to improve for competitions. I think Colin could improve this beer and make it a really big, competition worthy entry to get it up into that mid 40s. And
Agreed.
that's the kind of stuff we like to do. We love talking to people about beer, and it's fun for us. But if you come on with good energy, it's fun for you, and it'll hopefully pay off. So
Yeah.
Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Absolutely. There you go. Thank you, Colin. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to your next round of beers that you send in if you end up doing that. Thank you also to 5 Star Chemicals. Again, go to 5starchemicals.com and learn about the best way to clean and sanitize your home brewing equipment, which is, of course, by using 5 Star Chemicals. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later.